During a family trip, my uncle scoffed. "You're still holding a grudge over the will?" My cousin shrugged. "It's been years." My blood boiled as I watched them laugh. Then my grandmother pulled me aside and handed me a letter. She whispered, "Read this before you make your final decision." When I opened it, my hands started shaking. This happened last summer, and I've never been the same since. I'm 38, married, with 2 kids. This is something I've only told my wife and therapist, but I feel like I need to let it out somewhere anonymous, so here it goes. Our family used to be really close. You know those big Southern families that meet every summer for barbecues and gossip and memories? That was us. Until my dad died 5 years ago. That was the beginning of everything falling apart. My dad, Alan, owned a mid-sized construction company based in Savannah, Georgia. It wasn't a Fortune 500 company or anything, but it paid the bills, kept a few dozen men employed, and helped put me through college. I worked my way up from the bottom, grunt work, accounting, scheduling, everything. My dad made me sweat for it, and I respected him more because of that. When he passed, everything changed. The will reading was tense. My uncle Greg, Dad's younger brother, and my cousin Lisa, Greg's daughter, thought they were going to be major beneficiaries. Instead, my dad left the business 100% to me. Not even a share for Greg. He got some land in North Carolina. Lisa got some cash, and Mom got the house. That was it. Greg and Lisa contested the will. It got ugly. They dragged it through court for over a year. It cost me a lot of money, time, and emotional energy. But in the end, the court upheld the will. I never forgave them for it. I stopped going to family events after that. My mom tried to keep the peace, but even she gave up after a while. It wasn't just a legal thing. It was betrayal. They tried to rip apart everything my dad built and what he clearly wanted to leave with me, just because they were bitter. So when Grandma Evelyn invited everyone for her 85th birthday weekend at her home, same house she's lived in since the 60s, I almost didn't go. But my wife convinced me. "You don't want to regret not going when she's gone," she said. I agreed. So we packed the kids and drove 6 hours to Savannah. The house was full. Aunt Margaret, Uncle Greg, Lisa, their spouses, their kids, my mom, my brother Jason, and some cousins I hadn't seen in years. We tried to keep it light, but there was tension. You could feel it in the air like static. Then dinner happened. We were all gathered around the long table in the dining room. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, collard greens, the works. It was almost like old times. Almost. That's when Greg leaned back in his chair and said, with a little smirk, "You're still holding a grudge over the will?" My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Lisa laughed softly and said, "It's been years." And just like that, the air changed. My blood boiled. They laughed like they were joking, but I knew they weren't. That little smirk, that tone, it was a jab. It wasn't just about the will. It was about disrespect. About pretending like what they did was nothing. I was about to say something. My wife squeezed my knee under the table. I kept quiet, but it took everything in me not to explode. After dinner, Grandma pulled me aside. Her hands were shaking a little as she led me into her bedroom. The door clicked shut behind us. She didn't sit. She didn't waste time. She opened the top drawer of her dresser and pulled out a small white envelope, sealed. "Read this before you make your final decision," she said. Her voice was low. Serious. "What decision?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just placed the envelope in my hand, looked me in the eyes, and then walked out. I stood there for a minute, confused. Then I opened it. It was a letter. My dad's handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. It said, "Dear Michael, if you're reading this, it means things have reached a point where the truth needs to be told. There's no easy way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. Years ago, I made a mistake. A huge one. I had an affair with your Aunt Margaret. It was brief. It ended. But from that affair, a child was born. Lisa. Greg never knew. He still doesn't. He believes Lisa is his daughter. But biologically, she's mine. I confirmed it with a private DNA test years ago. I didn't come forward because I didn't want to destroy the family. It would have broken Greg. It would have ruined Margaret. And it would have changed everything for Lisa. I'm not proud of what I did. I carried this guilt for years. But I made peace with it by making sure you got the business. I needed you to know the full story in case they ever made you doubt why I left it to you. It wasn't about punishment. It was about responsibility. You're my son. And so is she. In a way. But you were always the one who cared about the legacy. Forgive me if you can. Do what you think is right. Love, Dad. I sat down on Grandma's bed, shaking. I reread it. Twice. My cousin Lisa, my enemy, my rival, was actually my half-sister. My Uncle Greg had no idea. He raised someone else's daughter for 30-plus years without knowing. All that anger from Lisa about the will. All that bitterness. She had no idea. And the worst part was, I understood her better now. From her point of view, I was just the golden boy who got handed everything. She didn't know the truth. I felt sick. Like I was going to throw up. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should confront Margaret, or Lisa, or Greg, or just leave it buried. I walked outside. The backyard was buzzing with laughter. Lisa was playing frisbee with her kids. Greg was sipping sweet tea on the porch. Aunt Margaret was fussing over the grill. And I stood there, holding the biggest secret of all of them, watching them like they were strangers. That's where I am now, sitting in this storm of emotions. Betrayal, guilt, shock, grief, anger, confusion. I don't know what to do next. I don't know if I should tell them. I don't know if I can tell them. I just know that everything changed the moment I opened that letter. I wish I could say I slept that night. I didn't. I laid there in my childhood bedroom, same creaky bed, same old posters on the wall, same sound of crickets outside the window, staring at the ceiling, letter still in my hand. I kept reading it again and again, trying to convince myself it was real. By sunrise, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to tell anyone. Not yet. I needed time to process it all. Time to think. But life had other plans. Breakfast was awkward. Everyone was still pretending like last night didn't happen. Lisa avoided eye contact. Greg was acting like he was the king of the castle, making dumb jokes and bragging about his new fishing boat. Grandma Evelyn was quiet. She gave me a look, like, "Did you read it?" I gave her a little nod. Then something weird happened. Jason, my younger brother, pulled me aside as I was pouring coffee. "Hey," he said, glancing around. "Can we talk?" We stepped out into the sunroom, just the two of us. "I know," he said. I blinked. "Know what?" He rubbed his face. "About Lisa. About Dad. The letter Grandma showed me last year." My jaw dropped. "She said she wanted to wait until we were both ready," he continued. I didn't believe it at first either. But I found the test. Dad kept it in the garage safe. I guess he didn't want Mom to see it. "You've known this whole time?" I asked. Jason looked guilty. "Not the whole time. A few months. I didn't know how to bring it up. I figured, maybe the past is better left buried." I wanted to be mad. I really did. But how could I? We were both caught in something way bigger than us. I asked him, "Do you think Lisa knows?" He shook his head. "No way. You've seen her. She thinks she's the one who got screwed." That's when it hit me like a freight train. Lisa was mad about losing the business. But if she ever found out why she didn't get it, that would wreck her. Or worse, she'd go nuclear. Later that afternoon, something even more insane happened. Aunt Margaret pulled me into the kitchen while everyone was outside doing lawn games. She didn't even say hello. She looked scared. "I need to ask you something," she whispered. "Did your grandmother give you a letter?" I nodded slowly, trying to keep my face neutral. "Why?" Her lip trembled. "Because she promised me she wouldn't. She said she'd destroy it after Alan died." Bam. That was it. The confirmation. She knew. I asked carefully, "So you know what the letter said?" She nodded once. Her eyes were full of panic. "Please, Michael. Don't tell Greg. Don't tell Lisa. It would destroy them." She looked at me like a drowning woman begging for a rope. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. She stepped closer. "Lisa doesn't know. She can't. Greg would never survive it. And Lisa, if she found out Alan was her real father after all this time," her voice cracked. She sat down at the kitchen table, burying her face in her hands. I just stood there, numb. I walked out of the kitchen without saying a word. Now here's where things get even more messed up. That night, I caught Lisa snooping in my room. I'd gone out to the porch to grab my phone, left my room door unlocked. When I came back, she was standing at my dresser, flipping through a notebook. She jumped when she saw me. I was just looking for a pen," she stammered. "Lisa," I said slowly, "that's not where pens are." She looked away. "Greg said you were acting weird. Secretive. He thinks you're planning something." I stepped closer. "What would I even be planning?" She shrugged. "You tell me. You haven't shown your face around here in years. Now you show up, and suddenly everyone's whispering and sneaking around." I didn't say anything. Then she snapped. "Is this about the damn will again? Are you trying to get Grandma to change it or something? Greg said you've been cozying up to her. That's when I snapped. Do you really think this is about money? I said, louder than I meant to. You don't know the half of it. She narrowed her eyes. What does that mean? I stared at her. For a second, I almost told her. I almost let the words slip out. But I didn't. Forget it, I muttered. Just stay out of my stuff. She stormed out, muttering something about me being a paranoid jerk. But I knew she was going to keep digging. I could feel the ground shifting beneath us. That night, I sat on the porch alone with a glass of whiskey. My wife joined me eventually. I saw you talking to your aunt, she said gently. I nodded. She knows. Yeah. We sat there in silence. Then she asked, what are you going to do? I looked up at the sky, stars blurred by the humidity. I don't know, but it's only a matter of time before someone else finds out. And when they do, everything's going to blow. So after the blow-up with Lisa in my room, I knew she was suspicious. Lisa isn't stupid. She's stubborn, emotional, and blunt, but she's smart when she wants to be. And now she was obsessed with whatever she thought I was hiding. I started locking my door. She noticed. Then she started watching me. Literally. Like, I'd walk into the living room, and she'd stop talking and just stare, pretending to scroll her phone, pretending to read. But I could feel her eyes. My brother Jason noticed too. Dude, he said one morning while we were making coffee. She's onto something. We need to be careful. Careful how? I asked. We're not even doing anything. Jason looked at me and said something I'll never forget. Secrets don't stay secrets in this family. Not forever. He was right. The next twist came the following day, during a stupid game of charades in the living room. Grandma had insisted we all play for old time's sake. Everyone was laughing, drinking wine, loosening up. Then Greg stood up for his turn, already tipsy, and out of nowhere said, let's act out betrayal. I think I know someone in this room who can help with that. He was looking at me. Everyone went quiet. Greg, Grandma said sharply, enough. Greg waved her off. Come on, Ma. It's not like we don't all know Mike here's been acting like he's got the moral high ground since Alan died. Like he's better than the rest of us. I stood up. You want to say something? Say it directly. Greg snorted. You think you're so high and mighty, don't you? You think because your daddy gave you the business, you're some kind of king. Truth is, I should have run that company. Hell, if Alan hadn't been sneaking around back in the day, Greg, Grandma shouted. The whole room froze. But Greg, he saw something in her face. A flicker. A crack. His face changed. Wait, he said quieter now. What does that mean? No one said anything. What do you mean sneaking around? He asked. What did Alan do? And then, Lisa, sharp as a knife, cut in. What are you all hiding? Silence. Thick. Heavy. No one breathed. Then, Grandma stood. Enough. Everyone out. Now. People scattered like ants. But it was too late. The damage was done. Later that night, I found Jason in the garage. He was holding Dad's old toolbox, the one with the false bottom. I think it's time we go through everything, he said. We opened the hidden compartment. More letters. Some photographs. And one envelope that made my stomach drop. A second DNA test. A newer one. Lisa's name. My dad's name. And another result. Positive match. 99.98% probability of paternity. Jason looked at me. She's going to find this. It's only a matter of time. I took the envelope, hands shaking. We burned the test in the fire pit that night. No words. Just flames. I wasn't proud of it. But I was scared. The next morning, Lisa was gone. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Her kids were still there with their dad, confused. No one knew where she went. Until she texted me. You and Jason are terrible liars. You think I wouldn't look deeper? I found the lockbox at Grandma's years ago. I didn't understand what it meant back then. But now, it all makes sense. I froze. Then she sent a photo. It was the first letter. The one from Dad. The one Grandma swore she gave only to me and Jason. She had taken it from my room. Lisa knew. She knew everything. I don't know what's going to happen next. But Lisa has gone quiet since that message. She hasn't come back. She hasn't posted on Facebook. No calls. No texts beyond that one. Greg's been asking around. He thinks something's wrong. And Grandma. Grandma is sick with worry. She won't say it, but I can tell. She knows this secret might have just torn everything apart. I haven't told my mom yet. Or my wife. I don't know if Lisa's going to come back. Or blow the whole thing wide open. And I'm not sure which one scares me more. Hey Reddit, this is going to be the last part of the story. I've held on to this for months now. I've rewritten this post in my head 100 times, trying to find a version that makes sense of it all. There isn't one. I thought secrets buried deep would stay buried. I thought maybe silence was mercy, but truth has its own way of clawing to the surface. And it did. In the loudest, ugliest way possible. It happened the night before we were all supposed to leave. Grandma wanted a final dinner, just like the old days, she said. She made her famous pot roast. Everyone helped out. Even Lisa, who had returned that morning without saying a word to anyone. She looked calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that made my skin crawl. No one said anything. The air was too thick, like everyone knew something was coming. Halfway through dinner, Lisa stood up, tapped her glass like she was about to give a wedding speech. "I've got something to say," she said. My heart dropped. Jason froze mid-bite. Grandma whispered, "No, please," but it was too late. Lisa held up the letter. "Everyone here knows there's been tension about Dad's will," she began. "Everyone knows Greg, and I thought we were treated unfairly." Greg was already shaking his head. "Lisa, sit down." She ignored him. "Well, it turns out there was a reason. A secret. One I didn't ask for, but one I deserved to know." She turned to Greg. Her voice cracked. "You're not my father." The silence that followed was suffocating. "What?" Greg said, eyes wide, stunned like he'd been slapped. Lisa threw the letter onto the table. "Alan was. Uncle Alan. The man who gave the business to Michael. My real father." She looked at me. "You knew. You all knew. You lied to me for years." Grandma was crying. Jason's head was in his hands. My wife was gripping my arm so hard it hurt. And Greg, he just stared, like he was outside his own body. "You're lying," he whispered. "That's not true." Lisa walked over, pulled out a second paper. DNA results. Dated. Verified. "It's real." He stood up so fast his chair crashed behind him. "You're lying. Margaret, tell her she's lying." Aunt Margaret didn't say a word. "Margaret," Greg screamed. "Say something." She broke. "I'm sorry." He froze. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said. "It was once. A mistake." Greg backed away like she'd hit him. "You let me raise someone else's child for 30 years. Lisa yelled. "I didn't ask to be a part of this. I didn't ask to be born into a lie." Grandma tried to stand, but nearly fell, and Jason caught her. "Stop it, all of you. This isn't the place." But it didn't stop. Greg stormed out. Lisa collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Margaret followed him, crying. I sat there, watching everything fall apart. The truth was out. The secret was gone. And it didn't feel like justice. It felt like watching a house you grew up in burn down, slowly, with everyone inside. The next morning, the house was quiet. Greg left in the middle of the night, took his car, and drove back to Raleigh. Lisa didn't come out of her room. Aunt Margaret packed alone. I caught her in the hallway, eyes swollen, holding a photo frame. She looked at me and whispered, "I lost them both, didn't I?" I didn't know what to say. Jason and I helped Grandma back into bed. She looked like 1,000 years older. "I thought I could protect everyone," she said. "But secrets don't protect. They poison." In the weeks that followed, things changed. Greg cut off contact. He won't return calls. From anyone. Not even Grandma. Lisa moved out. Left her husband, moved to Atlanta. She sent me a single text. "I'll never forgive you for keeping it from me. But I understand why you did." We haven't spoken since. Margaret moved in with her sister for a while. Rumor is she's trying to get into therapy, but no one's really sure. As for me, I went back to work. I run the business. But now every time I walk into that office, I think about my dad. I think about the choices he made, the lies he carried, the weight he passed down to me. Sometimes I hate him for it. Sometimes I miss him more than I can say. You might be wondering how I feel now. Whether telling the truth helped. I don't know. There's a strange kind of peace that comes after everything blows up. A stillness. Like you're standing in the ruins of a storm. We survived, technically. But nothing's the same. I learned this. Secrets rot people from the inside. Even if they start with good intentions. I don't feel righteous. Or vindicated. I just feel older. Tired. But maybe now, at least, we stop pretending. Maybe that's the first step to healing. Or maybe it's just the end. Time will tell.